have attended any ceremony where the bishops ordained priests and deacons, there's a long ceremony for almost 2 hours, a lot of prayers and psalms and singing Holy Eucharist. But there is a particular moment, very often it is not very significantly observed by people. And that is the moment, is the most important moment for ordaining a priest or a deacon. The bishop lays his hands on the person silently, followed by the priest. And no prayer is uttered then, because we are exclusively told when there is an ordination of priest, you have to lay your hands, not uttering any prayers. And that is the moment the priest is ordained or a person becomes a deacon. We have seen that in today's first reading, Acts of the Apostles chapter 6 verse 1 to 7. Here, the Hebrews were doing some kind of partiality towards the Hellenists. They complained to the apostles saying that our widows are neglected. And consequently all the apostles come together and they say, we on our part, we need to dedicate ourselves for prayer and breaking the word. But this task of catering to the widows and unfortunate and less fortunate must be entrusted with someone else. And therefore we need to choose 7 men full of the Holy Spirit. And they choose Stephen, Prochorus, Philip, Parmenas, Nicholas, Nicanor, and Timon. These 7 persons are chosen and they pray. First they pray and then they lay their hands on them. They are called deacons, the servants to the priests and to the bishops. Now what we find in the early church, dear friends, very significant to understand. It was not only religious ceremonies, praying and the breaking of the word. There was also a social concern to meet the needs of the less fortunate and especially the widows. That is what the church is doing all over the world. Not only worshipping, coming to the church, but also catering to the needs of people. You just imagine all over the world, you will be surprised if you take the statistics, how many mission stations all over the world, including in the third world, how many organizations, how many institutions, how many places where even AIDS patients and lepers are taken care of. And this is a priority that is given by the Catholic Church. Now let us come to the second reading. Here Peter says something significant too. He says, come to the living stone. Have you seen a living stone that moves around and talks? Have you seen any moving stone? But Peter says, come to the living stone, referring to Jesus. The stone that was rejected by the elders and priests has become the cornerstone. And then he says, like living stones, you must build a spiritual house. You know, we all of us are responsible for building the church. Now, this is not the physical edifice. My mom, you know, last Sunday I asked her to pray for her. She had a fall in Dubai. Before that, while returning from Rome, you know, she had these beautiful memories. And now she is sharing all those memories with my brothers and sisters and friends. And she was saying, it seems, I came to know that if you go to Rome, 2 eyes are not enough to see all that. You know, we need more eyes. You know, such a lot to see. She saw all those big cathedrals and basilicas. And she made a very keen observance. And that is, big churches, no people. In India, whether they are big churches or small churches, plenty of people. Churches are full. In Europe, in Rome, big, huge churches. And she said that in these churches, we could accommodate buildings, you know, like our church in India, 25 churches can be put in that big church. Such huge buildings. Here, a note to make to all of us, dear friends. Church does not mean the physical edifice. Church is we, all of us. That's why we are called the living stones, along with the living stone chosen by God, which has become the cornerstone. And that is why we become a chosen race, royal priesthood, holy nation, God's own people. We become one church. Church is the community of people. Praying community, a community that shares and loves. Let us come to the gospel passage. I would like to comment only on the 3 words. Jesus saying to Thomas, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Let us come to the first word. I am the way. How many of you are today here first to guardian angels, visitors? How many of you? Any visitor here? First time coming to guardian angels? 1, 2, 3. Previous masses there were many. I told them, either you have found out about guardian angels through internet, through iPad, email, address, brochures, or from information. So you find out the street and the number and you come to the place, right? It's very easy here in Canada and in Europe, America. It's not so easy in India, okay? You will search for a place for at least 3 hours until you come to that place. Here you can get it in 5 minutes. Now what happens? What we need, the street and the number to come to the destination. But sometimes we make mistakes. Instead of searching in that particular region, we look for the street and the number. That particular street could be in another region too. This happened to me. When I came to Vancouver, I was so excited to drive a car. I got my driving license, I was going everywhere. And Father Jerry, the previous parish priest, told, Father, in order to reach the destination, what you do? Go to the computer, put the address, print all the papers, and then drive. Stop. Look at the paper. Turn to right. Look at the paper. Turn to right. Turn to left. And then you will come to the destination. And some of my parishioners said, this can be done only by those people who do not have any other work to do. Print, look at it, drive, stop, look at it, go ahead, turn to left, turn to right. Some of them suggested, Father, buy a GPS. Easy. I was so excited. That was the first time I used GPS, dear friends. So excited. Put the place, number of the street, boom, you go. I was in Vancouver, right? Very clear. And some of my parishioners said, Father, now you know driving, you must go to Grouse Mountain. That's a nice place. I asked them how long it takes. Oh, half an hour to 45 minutes. Oh, that's not a big deal. Well, on a Monday, my free day, I put in GPS directly Grouse Mountain. And it showed immediately with that pink line. I started driving. I could see my car going like this, I drove for 50 minutes, dear friends. 50 minutes. Instead of going upwards, it was going downwards. I thought something is wrong. Most probably I finished driving almost 45 to 50 kilometers. I was not coming to Grouse Mountain. Then I said, arrival time. Tuesday early morning at 4:30 a.m. Then something is wrong. Then I looked. It was showing Grouse Mountain in Montana, United States. You see, we must know how to use the GPS, otherwise we will go somewhere else. I was really surprised and put home and came back. Did not go to Grouse Mountain. I went somewhere else, some later with some of my friends. Dear friends, we have a GPS in the Catholic Church. What is the GPS? We have the Word of God, we have the Church, we have the Holy Eucharist, but then we must know how to use it. If we use only for the sake of using it, we may end up ourselves somewhere else. Therefore, Jesus says, I am the way. Look at me. You don't look at anything else. I am the way. I will lead you to the correct destination. So, Jesus is the way. No other way for us. When Jesus says, I am the truth, what is the truth? Dear friends, truth we find out comparing to the norms and regulations that are given to us. In the Old Testament, 10 commandments. In the New Testament, what Jesus said. He went beyond the 10 commandments. He called us to do something extraordinary. He said, your righteousness must transcend the righteousness of the Pharisees and scribes. And that's why he said, blessed are the poor in heart, pure in spirit, the meek, the merciful. Blessed are you when you are persecuted, when you hunger for righteousness. Blessed are you. That's why he showed us a quite different truth. He said, when you look at me, you will find that truth. I am the truth and nothing else. You know, dear friends, when we do something wrong, we have a prick of conscience. We find it hard to digest that. We feel sad because we look at the mirror of Christ, the image of Christ. So before coming to the church, most probably many of us have looked ourselves into the mirror, right? Whether we are all right or not. If we are not all right, we need to correct ourselves so that we are going to a community. In the same way, in order that our life may be truthful, we need to look at the image of Christ in our lives because He is the truth. That's why Jesus said to Pilate, Pontius Pilate, truth will make you free. But then Pilate asked, what is truth? Because he was hypocrite too. Now let us come to the last part. I am the life. Therefore Jesus said, John 10:10, I came to give life in abundance. Jesus said to Martha, I am the resurrection and the life. Chapter 11 verse 25 of John. I am the resurrection and life. What is this life? Life is all there around us. We need not go to another planet to look for life. Some of the scientists do that, spending billions of dollars thinking to go to another planet to find out whether there is life or not. As it were, they are not concerned about abundance of life that is around us. When we think about our life, dear friends, we can speak of the basic life that exists on this planet. We speak of mineral life. You know, that is the basic life. You drink a glass of water, there are a lot of minerals, invisible to your eyes. But if you take a microscope and observe, you can find the winding live creatures there. If you really see a glass of water under a microscope, you will never drink it. But keep on drinking it, doesn't matter. Okay, that is what we call the minerals. And these minerals are absorbed by plants. The plants live because they absorb minerals from soil and water. And then we come to the third stage of life, that is animal life. You know, animals eat vegetation and they eat other animals and they live. The fourth stage is human life. But then human life is not just lived as human beings, but we are called for a higher life. You know, we consume animals, we consume vegetation, we intake minerals and we live. And then we are called for a higher life. What is that higher life? Divine life. That's why St. Augustine very clearly said, our hearts are restless, O Lord, until they rest in Thee. Human beings are never content with what they have. Just imagine, I'll give you some examples. If you have a good house, you are so excited to go into that new house. But after 1 or 2 years, you are one with that house, you are no more excited. You know, sometimes we think that we need to have good amount of money in bank, but then once you reach that goal, you are no more excited. After a few days, you may expect more money. With that money, you are never excited. With the pleasure, same thing. With the friendship too. You know, human beings are made for higher. We need to go beyond our human life to come to that divine experience of life. That's why humans are called not only to live ordinary human life, but we are called to another life, that is divine life. That's why Jesus said, I am the resurrection and life. I came to give life, life in abundance. Dear friends, we need to aim at the person Jesus. I am the way, the truth and the life. I would like to end this homily with a little anecdote. You know, a doctor went to visit a sick patient who was very seriously ill. And the doctor shut the door behind him and he was talking to the patient and asked, how are you? The patient said, Doctor, I have only one fear, fear of death. And therefore just let me know what is there beyond death. And at that moment, something happened. At the door, there was a scratching noise and whining. And the doctor said, well, you see, I have entered your room and I shut the door. My dog was at the basement. He came up looking for me. But the dog knows I, his master, am inside the room. But the dog has no idea what is there in the room. In the same way, we do not have any idea what is there after death. But if we are pretty sure that we are with our master, then we have no fear. That's what happens very often when I visit the patients and elderly people. They ask me a question, Father, what is there after death? I am not able to give them any reply because I have never gone and come back to report them what is there. Nothing. The only thing that I can tell them, you know the master, then you are safe. That's why Jesus said, I am going to the Father, preparing a room or place. I come back and I will take you with me so that you may be with me where I am. That is the great consoling fact to all of us. And that is what tells this particular gospel passage in an encouraging way, that we will be with our master. But only thing is that we must know the master. We must love the master. We must understand our teacher, who says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Once we absorb this truth and follow the master, dear friends, we will never be disappointed in our lives. God be with you.